So within our Mannheim business, it's taken 15 years for the majority of transactions to move from a physical to a digital environment. But the automotive industry itself is undergoing some radical changes. And there's 6 trends that I would pick out at the moment. Electric vehicles are starting to go mainstream. We're also starting to see the development of vehicle autonomy, where we've moved from a feet-off environment to ultimately now a hands-off environment. And finally, we're going to get to a point where your brain can switch off completely. Here, however, it's probably human acceptance that is the barrier to ultimate change rather than the technology itself. In terms of the way people own and operate cars, we've seen the emergence of mobility. This takes the form of things like subscription models for more flexible motoring, but also we've seen the growth of things like ride-hailing, such as Uber, and things like car sharing. The governments are playing a much more aggressive role in terms of trying to influence change. The climate change agenda is clearly very important here, but the introduction of things like emission zones, barriers to using city centres such as cost of parking and so on and so forth, but they try and nudge change. In certain markets, the company car will become taxed out of existence, and for many large leasing companies and suppliers to that market, they've got to think about changing their business model as their orientation is more towards the consumer as their end user rather than a traditional fleet manager. The way cars are sold is going to undergo radical change, with the manufacturers seeking to take more control of the dealership model, but also what we're starting to see is things like online retailing emerging. We're also starting to see consolidation of the manufacturers. PSA a couple of years ago acquired General Motors Europe, and we're also seeing talks now between PSA and FCA in terms of a merger. We're also seeing new entrants in the market such as Tesla, Polestar and Rivian. These new entrants are challenging the way the current ecosystem works. Tesla, headed by Elon Musk, is probably the most high profile of the new entrants, has highly innovative products, electric-only products, and also in terms of its distribution model, it's chosen an online-only approach. It's redefined its supply chain for what it sees as a very different world, and that's enabled it to grow very successfully and very rapidly across the globe. It does use stores, but these stores are often actually to help introduce the product to people. Often these are located in city centres rather than the traditional large dealership which sits outside of town. Electric vehicles by their very nature don't need the same level of service and maintenance that traditional internal combustion engine cars do. And ultimately, as a consumer, what you appreciate is the fact that the vehicle can be taken away and serviced at a location which could be some distance away, but to you as a consumer, you're left with full mobility during that time. Our world is changing. We can't preserve the model which has operated very successfully for over 50 years. It's not just about digitization of the ecosystem, it's about understanding how digital affects all the other aspects of your business. So from our perspective, we're redefining our business model to make sure that we continue to develop our physical auction capability alongside a redefined ecosystem, which means that our physical services are far more important than perhaps we thought in the past. We can't change and influence the future, but we can seek to adapt to it and make sure that our business model is one that evolves to meet future customer needs. The needs of our customers are changing, and we need to make sure that we move with it.